Hi everyone, how are you doing? Welcome to another episode of the Unleash and Thrive podcast with Olu Olabode. I hope you enjoyed last week's episode. Today I have a phenomenal, awesome woman in the house. And guess what? Are you waiting to meet her? Are you wondering who it is? Let me not make you wonder too much. I'm going to bring her on. I have Dr. Linda Agu in the house today. She's going to be my guest, and I'm so excited for this conversation. You're most welcome, man.
Thank you so much, Pastor Olu. Thank you for the opportunity.
Okay, so today we're talking about a really interesting, and actually it's kind of like heart stirring conversation. It's arise and shine. There is more. And I think when I think of that conversation, and as I thought of that topic, I couldn't think of anybody else to bring. I thought, who am I gonna bring for this? I have to bring Dr. Linda. She's like the perfect person that will do justice to this. So I'm gonna read your bio and then we'll kind of just get into the conversation. So guys that are listening, that are watching, if you want to invite somebody, please do get a cup of coffee, cup of tea, cup of water, and join us in this conversation. It's going to be phenomenal. Trust me. Look forward to it. So, Dr. Linda Agu is the CEO and founder of two nonprofit organizations, Arise and Shine Inc. USA and Starrestored Nigeria. She is from Cross River State, Efik by tribe, while her husband is from Imo State. She obtained her bachelor's degree in medicine and surgery from the University of Calabar Nigeria and received an MBA from the University of Phoenix, Arizona, USA. She is currently a clinical trial manager with Covenant, Covance Inc. Dr. Linda Agu is a thriver of domestic violence, and from this stems her passion to help women affected by gender based domestic violence. She believes a broken or devalued woman can still, I always love to read that part, can
Mhm.
still rediscover their light
Yes, so
and live a purposeful life,
true.
irrespective of their setbacks. She helps broken women find their voice and empowers them to move past their shame and live with no regrets. She is married to Oliver Agu. They have a son and they make their home in Boston, Massachusetts, USA. Okay, so help me welcome her once again. Hoo, hoo,
Thank
hoo,
you so
hoo.
much. Thank
You
you,
are
Pastor Olu.
welcome. So I love to read people's bio and then I get into asking them to just informally, who would you say Dr. Linda Agu is?
Well, informally, I'll say um, I'm a lover of things, everything that has to do with women and children.
Hmm.
Anything that has to do with women and children just gives me so much passion. Um, I love people. I'm very relational, and I believe that integration, intergenerational connectivity is the healing that the world needs.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
believe that if each and every one of us begin to connect with people, and connect with the right people, I connect with you, you connect with me. And as we're
Hmm.
connecting, we're creating value in each other's life. I believe there's going to be more healing in the world. The world needs it, especially at this time.
Yes, you are so right. Wow. Thank you for sharing that. What would you say are two fun facts about you?
Uh, I love to cook, and as you know, and as an Efik girl or an Efik woman,
Oh, I can only imagine. Last week was Thanksgiving here, and even though I'm Yoruba by tribe, I love banga soup. So I made banga, and it was like there was no other food there. People
oh,
just focused on,
oh, that's so.
focused on the soup. It was, oh, you guys have the best soups. They have the
Yes.
best.
Like I used to say, I used to tell my parents, whilst other people were thinking of business, other tribes in Nigeria were thinking of business and how to develop themselves, the Efik man was thinking of just his stomach, how to eat and be, merry. So I love to cook. Something I took passion from my mother.
Wow.
Whenever there was special occasion, some dignitaries wanted to have a special occasion, they would call my mom. And I used to wonder why they used to like her food. And my mom used to say one thing I like, she said, cooking is an art. It's an
Hmm.
art. You can give, I can give, we can give two people the same ingredients, and the food will turn out differently.
Wow.
So
Wow.
there's
Cooking
this
is an
thing I
art.
just believe God has given an Efik woman, in quote and off quote, the special ability to transform any vegetable leaf, just few things, into something delicious. I
Beautiful.
love
Yeah.
cooking and I love to dance.
Oh, we have something in common.
Yeah,
We
I
both
have to
love
join
to
you and
dance.
Pastor for that competition. I
Oh, I
just
know that we have to redo that competition to see who actually won. For those that are wondering, my husband and I had a competition, and Dr. Linda insists that my husband won. I think I won though. So we're gonna have to
we have
redo
to
that
do it.
competition.
That's
Oh,
funny.
thank you for sharing that with us.
You're
So
welcome.
getting into this conversation about arising and shining, anytime I look at your, when I look at your, sometimes when I look online and I see what you're doing, it always comes to my mind that what made you start that foundation, arise and shine. Can you share a little bit of your journey with us?
Okay, I suffered domestic violence. It's over 10, 11 years ago now, or more, that I left, that it happened. And sometime during 2019, precisely, Naomi Osamedwa, the
Yeah.
Sparkle Queen, came to Boston for a fireside chat program organized by one of my friends. So when I went, I attended the program. There were other women there. We began to share our stories. And I just said a little bit of my story, just a
Mm,
little bit. And the first thing she told me was that, Linda, the world needs to hear the story. I'm like, no, I'm
mm,
not ready for this. I'm not ready for the publicity.
mm,
And I was telling her, no. She said, no, the world needs to hear it. After the program, she spoke with me again after the program. She was still around for some days, and then she told me to come and have a one-on-one session with her. So when I went and I kind of gave her in depth of what I passed through, she says, no, this needs to be told. People need to hear it. And it's a lot, it's a mind blowing. You need to write a book. I'm like, no, no, oh, wait a minute. I'm not ready. And then she gave me a date. She came during summertime, say maybe June, July. And she gave me a date, said, write the date in the next 1 month or so. I needed to have a program with women and start talking. She said something because there was another lady there that suffered domestic violence and was telling her how I helped and how I'm able to connect women. And then Naomi said, there's something with you and women. You have the ability to connect with women and do great things with women. There's something God has invested in you. You need to. So Naomi spoke and spoke. I'm like, I reluctantly went for that program, the follow up. And then she said, gave me a deadline. I needed to do call women together and talk, tell them your story. Get it. I told her no. I gave her all the reasons why I couldn't
why
do it.
you couldn't do it?
Yeah, she said I told her I don't have money to get a hall. She said no, start in your house. And
Mm,
actually, November 9th, 2019, I had a meeting in my house with in my living room with women. I
wow.
started talking and I spoke, and the women, it was so emotional. The women were so inspired. Some of them didn't even know what I've gone through, and I encouraged them, and they wanted me to do more. They're like, when is the next one? When is the next one? I'm like, I was like, no, this was just too much for me. I need to take
Mm,
a break. So I promised to do something else soon, and then the pandemic started. I'm like, okay. I left it for a while, and then this year, about February or so, my friend introduced me to the Speak for Gold conference, which I reluctantly, and this is the thing with the devil. He knows
yeah.
what you have in
He
you.
knows what you need,
He
and he will
knows
try
what
and
you need.
stop you from getting it.
Again, it was a fight for me to come for that Speak for Gold
Hmm.
conference. I even lied. God forgive me. I even lied. I told my friend I didn't have money to
Mm.
attend the program. He said, "Oh,
But
I'll
you
pay
just
for you."
weren't
I'm like, "Oh my
ready.
God, she's going to pay for me now." Okay, and I thought it was just this telemarketing and all that.
Yeah.
So I attended the program. Oh my God, it was a spiritual awakening. And the first time I listened to FD, I've been before now. I have never heard of FD. I didn't know who he was. Um, Something God stirred in my spirit that night. I'm like, I heard other people's story. I was so inspired, but because I was so busy throughout the program, attending to my son and work, I couldn't really put in much time. But the last day of the convention of the program, when they were giving the testimony, I just decided to share. I said, okay, people have been talking, let me share. And I don't know if you were in that program, that Speak for Go Cohort 7. I mean, I had a divine encounter with the Holy
Mm.
Spirit. And when I was telling my story, and FD just stopped, and from there he started prophesying upon my life. And he said, "You're going to start a program, and the program is going to be for so age, and it's going to be called Arise and Shine." And before now, much years ago, I've always wanted to do a talk show with women,
Mm.
and I called it the sunny side of life, living in the
Oh,
sunny
I
side
remember
of
the sunny side of life.
living in sunny side of life. I've actually gone
Mm.
for auditioning. One time I went to
Wow.
Atlanta because I heard Oprah was auditioning for people. So I went for the
Wow.
auditioning. Unfortunately, I wasn't taken. So I wanted to bring, have a platform where you bring
Mm.
people that have gone through setbacks and how they've been able
Mm.
to come back. So I never
Wow.
knew that this rediscovery
Mm.
thing was inside of me, because that was my passion. So when FD said it's going to call a rise and shine, this is what the Holy Spirit was saying. FD was just giving them, I mean, he was just speaking as the Lord gave him utterance to speak. And then he made this statement, said, this was by Saturday, right? Convention. By Monday, you need to do your first IG live. I am someone that did not, my IG live, my IG handle, I didn't even know how. My sisters opened it up for me. I don't know anything about social media.
Wow.
I just know Facebook. And do you know, within 24 hours or
You
48
got it
hours,
done because you're
I did,
fired up.
I did my first Instagram live.
Wow.
And from there, that has been a journey. I can't even put words to it. That's how Arise and Shine started.
Wow. 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 That is so powerful.
So,
And what is the reason why you believe what, like, how would I, let me put it this way. Why do you think it's important for women that have, because you cater to women that have been broken, women that have gone through setbacks, why do you think it's important for them, or why is it necessary for them to arise and shine?
well, first and foremost, I want to talk about why the arise and shine arise in the Bible. See, every
Okay.
time we hear the word arise in the Bible, if we turn to the scriptures, it's every time it mentioned, there was always a reference, there was always something attached to it. There
Yeah.
was a measurable, tangible action to it.
There was,
And a
it's
verb,
always
a measurable, tangible action verb that was attached to it. For example, God said, Abraham, arise, walk through the land. He said to Lot, arise, take your family and leave. He said to who is this person again? In New Testament, he said to Joseph, arise, flee. So later in the gospel, we heard when Jesus spoke to the leper and said, arise, go your way. So every time in all these
every
examples,
time.
there's arise always preludes a subsequent, more urgent action.
Wow.
There's a more urgent action
Mm,
that is required. But if you look at Isaiah 60, verse 1,
I
where
was gonna
God was
say that.
calling his
Yeah.
people, yeah, that's a scripture that reflects it. These
Mm-hmm.
were people that were defeated, they were
Mm,
torn down, they were abandoned, and God issued an ordained calling for them to stand up and shine.
mm, mm,
Truthfully, there's nothing in humanity in its own self that
yeah.
shines.
Mm-mm.
Without Christ, there is no shining.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
The only way a human can shine with eternal value is
Wow.
if there's a supernatural power working on that person
That enables that person to
that
shine.
enables that person to shine.
Mm, mm.
Not to say, you know what, and God did not, I always wonder, why did God say arise, shine, not shine and arise?
Arise.
You see,
I guess you have to get the courage to
his
even
call was to
arise.
arise first. His call
Mm,
is to rise, and then something for which he was responsible for will follow. So you
mm,
have to do your own part is for you to arise, and
mm.
God will help you shine.
Wow. Wow. That's
I just love the two of them. When I got that,
I know, and I find they always go to the, like, you always see them together. Even
yes,
like, even when people write things about arising, they will write somewhere along the line. You see a way whereby shining comes into it.
yes.
I don't
Because if
even,
you arise, you can't arise and
even the
still
song.
say
There's that song, "Arise, Shine."
shine and give God the glory, glory. Yeah, if you arise, there has to be an action.
Mm,
You can't be
yeah,
arise and not and and be dark. You have
yeah.
to arise to something. Arise and
Mm,
stand. Don't arise and sit. There has to be
mm,
something, a verb, action
mm.
to it.
So there might be a woman watching now or a woman listening now, and they're saying, but Dr. Linda, you don't really understand where I'm coming from. You don't really know what I've gone through or what I'm still going through. And you are telling me to arise, but I don't even know how. I want us to just speak to that person now that maybe I don't even know how to even get out of that position where I am. Where do I even start from?
Like I'll say to everyone, if you feed your fear, it will grow. If you
Mm,
feed your confidence, it will
mm,
grow. So whatever you choose, the choice is yours to choose one. Whatever you choose to feed on, it will grow. If you
yeah.
choose not to do anything, it will not grow. I, as a woman that has gone through first being changed from the victor,
Mm,
a change from a victim to a victor. I've gone through being a survivor of domestic violence, and now I'm a thriver, not just surviving, I'm thriving
mm,
in domestic violence. And I see myself being very lucky and grateful to God that I'm alive.
yeah.
I want the program I was on yesterday. I was speaking in the program yesterday, and a woman gave her testimony of what she has gone through. I
Mm,
was in tears. I've not even gone through half of this, and I thought mine was worse.
mm,
So for every time you think your story is was there's somebody else that has gone through.
mm.
You can imagine one of the stories I heard yesterday was the husband will tell the wife, go kneel down there for 15 minutes, raise up your hands for
A
15
human
minutes.
being like you.
Human being. I
Mm,
thought was it in secondary school or was it what
wow.
happened? You see, so whatever you grow, whatever you choose, you need to choose intentionally what you need to grow. So
Mm,
I went through this phase of life, this valley of the shadow of death, because that was my own
mm,
shadow
mm,
valley of the shadow of death, and
mm,
it took a lot of things out of me. A lot
mm,
of things left me. The whole of my when I tell people I am a new restored person, people will not even
mm.
understand my self-confidence, everything I've gone. This is
Yeah.
new me. The reality is that we have so much in us, and
Yeah.
sometimes we don't know we have so much in us. And that same thing that God is competing for, the devil is
Mm,
competing for that same thing.
mm,
We have so much in us, so much greatness in us. So the first and greatest thing I tell people is to believe in the greatness of yourself, even if when you don't even have it. When it looks
believe
like
in the
all the chips are
greatness
down,
of yourself.
believe in the greatness of yourself, and then change your belief system. I had to re-engineer my brain. Excuse me. I had to work on myself. I had to ask first and foremost when I was going through it. My spiritual life was in darkness. I had lost hope. I disconnected from God. And the first thing I did was to go back to God in prayers.
Yeah.
And I asked God, you know what? This is myself. I come before you. You are a restorer. And
Mm,
when you come to that place and God knows that you know that there's nothing else, nothing, I fall to the down bottom, I fall down, there's nowhere else for me
mm,
to fall. And I ask God for grace and strength. So once you make that first decision and believe that there's greatness in yourself, and Bible says, casting down every imagination that exalts itself above the name of God. So I started seeing myself in the way God saw me. I was told that I was ugly. I was told that I was in an entity. I was told that I cannot become anything. I was told that nobody can love me. I was told that I was not lovable. And
mm,
so I began to
mm.
see myself, Linda, you exude love. And you
Yeah.
know what? The funny thing
Mm.
that word as powerful as you not love. My native name means Ama, A-M-A. And Ama means love.
Means love. Wow. The
Ama means
enemy
love.
is such
This is
a
wonder why my mom called me that.
wow.
Ama means love. I'm
Mm,
very lovable. I exude love anytime
mm.
God gives me the opportunity to. But
And
you
then
know
the enemy tried to turn it around.
that same love
Mm,
turned around. I did not see any beauty in me. I did not see anything great in me. And so when I began to, I started seeing myself as evolving from that victim mentality to a victor. That as I stand in Christ, Linda, you are loved, you are capable, you're strong, you're beautiful inside and outside. You
mm,
attract good people. You can love again.
mm,
I saw myself that there is more within me.
mm.
And you know what? God started helping me, and God
Yeah.
started telling me, "You can do more." And then my favorite scripture was when God told me that He was going to make a way in the scripture was just so
Mm.
new. I'm going to make a way in the
Go in the
wilderness where there
wilderness.
seems to be no way. I'm going to turn your story. When God told me this thing, I'm like, how? Where? God says He's going to do more with me. He's going to use me for more. He's going to do more because there's more behind it.
Mm.
And the word God told me, Linda, there is much more in you than what you left behind. There is much
Ooh.
more in you than what you left behind. I
Wow.
wrote that down. I said, okay, I don't know what this means. But every day as I grow in this work, I see that there is more. And it's true, I'm seeing that word that God gave me is coming to fulfillment. So I want to encourage anybody listening to me. Don't let your setbacks, I mean, they are all opportunities. And you know what, Pastor Olu? Every day now, I thank God that I went through this.
That
Because
is
if
it.
I didn't go through this conversation, I won't be
That
having with
was
you.
I was coming to that. I was going to ask you to talk to us about turning your pain into purpose, because something that you are very passionate about. Because often we see pain, but we see pain as something that is not pleasant.
Yeah,
But imagine a child coming to the world with no pain at all. The mother wants to give birth to that baby. How does she know when it's time to give birth to that baby? I often say, how does she know when she has to push? How does she know what to do if there is no signal, if there's no trigger, if there's nothing? So often the things that we go through is because it helps to bring that thing to us,
true.
bring what God wants to do in our lives. But we see like, oh, this is inconveniencing.
I've
Oh, why is it? Why did I have to go through this?
Yeah, you ask God when you're going through it. It's
Mm,
not pleasant when you're going through it.
mm.
Bible records of the madman of Gadarens. You remember the story?
Yeah,
Bible says he was
yes.
a man. He was a typical example of a man
Mm,
in pain. Bible says he was
mm.
always tearing himself. He was
Himself.
exhausting himself. But do you know the story of the madman of God? Do you know how it ended?
Mm.
He became the first church apostle of the in church
Can
of
you imagine?
Decapolis.
Mm,
He's the first archbishop, became the first archbishop of the church of Decapolis. If he did not go through that pain, he
mm,
wouldn't be what he became. So
mm.
sometimes we forget when we're going through it, the devil wants us to be so carried about the present and what we're going through.
Yeah,
Even Jesus Christ, which we follow, which is our
yeah.
typical example, he had to go
He
through the
had to
process of
go
pain.
through.
Like I used to say, God, I say, if I was Jesus, at that time they gave me vinegar. Every time I take vinegar, I say, God, you know what? I'm not
How
doing
do
it
you
again.
drink this?
And this vinegar we're drinking is even diluted,
He's
right?
doing diluted. His was the concentrated one.
I will tell Jesus, I'll tell God, you know what? I'm not doing it again. I'm not. But you
Mm,
know what? He had to pass through that. Look at Joseph. All the people in the Bible and even people in this social in our world today that have gone through pain. Look at their lives. Look at Joseph. Bible records that Joseph had to go first from the pit when he was thrown into the pit. From the pit, he went into Potiphar's house.
mm,
From Potiphar's house, he went to prison. And from prison, he became the prime minister.
mm,
All those phases he went through, they were not palatable at all. They were not
mm,
sweet.
mm.
So when we
But
go through pain, there is something behind it.
behind it, there is something behind it. Wow. Wow. Because another thing about pain, I find that sometimes people think it's because I've done something wrong
No, it has nothing
or
to
I've
do.
done something bad. Just like I
No,
remember they asked Jesus in the Bible that they were asking that, what did this man do that he was born blind? And he said that nothing.
nothing. It has nothing to do with what you do. Even remember the story of Job. Bible
Yeah.
says Job was a righteous man. But
Yeah.
look at what Job suffered. Because
Mm,
sometimes when you suffer, it's just a lack of ignorance. I say when some
mm,
people are going through things, they say it's because of the sins you've committed. Bible says
mm,
Job was a righteous man. But look at the things that Job suffered. Unknowing to Job that he was being used, they were testing him to see how he
mm.
was going to react.
Reacts. Mm. So what are some of the practical ways that we can turn the pain the things that we've gone through, even as women, because I believe women go through so much. Also because we carry so much in
So much.
us, we give so much, and in the going through, sometimes, like you said, some people have lost their life.
Yep.
But even when you come out of that situation, you come out of that setback, and now you want to bounce back. What are some practical ways that can help us to turn our pain into purpose?
The first thing, and thank God you are the midwife. You are the midwife, the purpose midwife. So, the first thing I think one should do is first forgive yourself.
Mm,
That is one of the things that the devil holds us because the Bible says he's the accuser of the brethren. He holds you to it, say, you know what, you did this, and why should God bless you? He goes and torments you with your past. You know what? Holding holding to your past,
Mm.
you can't move forward.
Yeah.
Holding to your past will make you stay there forever and ever. You stay in that, you get
Mm.
stuck thinking about it. Yes, it has happened. What can I do? Now you've forgiven yourself. What
Mm.
steps can I do? How can I let what can I learn? What steps can I learn from this? What things can I learn from this pain that has happened? You look for ways to learn things from it, and then you look for ways to cope with it. Because when you're going through pain, you need the right tools, the right resources, the right
Mm.
community. I keep
Mm.
on saying the right community. The church is supposed to be a place where you have people that you can commit to. You can tell them what you're going through. I'm
Mm.
feeling depressed today, or I'm not. You don't use the word feeling. But you just tell someone I'm feeling depressed, and or tell them sign. They everybody, you have.
Everybody will everybody will run
How
to the
can you, Sister
fence.
Linda?
But it
I
shouldn't
remember
be
I was
like
going
that.
through
It
some
shouldn't be
challenges.
like that.
Yes, somebody told me, I don't like why you're saying this. You're not praying enough. You're not strong enough in faith. It's because you're not praying enough. We don't need things like that. We need people that will stand with you when you're going through that pain and help you and encourage you and show you steps and use tools too that can guide you when you're going through pain. Because pain, everybody experience and tolerates pain in different ways. Just like people have high threshold for pain and people have low threshold for pain. And I can't judge the way, and some people, you see somebody's grieving over some. Give yourself time to grieve over it. It's very, very important, because you grieve over it and don't grieve for it for a long time. You need to move to the next step. Look for ways that you can let go, and letting go, look for things, people, again, like community, look for things you can do. um Start reading, start working. Like I see Pastor Olu always doing her work in the morning. I feel jealous. She's
It's
always
so it's so therapeutic. People don't
it is.
understand. Do you know, even I remember that my story of suicide that I shared.
Mm,
It was when I went on that walk that I was able to let everything out.
yes.
And as I let everything out while walking, it was in the same place that God was able to speak to me. God was able to say, you know what, I can handle this. It was
Mhm.
because when you're walking, it's just something that does. I don't know what you're a medical doctor. You can kind of help us interpret
you
what it
are
does to the brain. But there's just this. You just feel like there's just this
you
rejuvenation.
are releasing endorphins.
Yes, that you just feel like, okay, okay, okay. You just feel like, okay, you breathe in and out, and you're just, it's
Mhm.
just, I don't know how it is, but there's just something about the outdoors, the
It
fresh air.
calms. Yeah, it does a lot of calming.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it is so calming.
I remember one time I decided to walk. I walked just my neighborhood. I started seeing houses that I've not seen before. I'm like, what's this
And
house doing?
they've been there all along.
I started admiring the little things. People's
Yeah.
mailboxes.
Hmm.
My sense of artistry is kind of very funny. The kind of things that people don't like, I kind of like them. I
It's
love the
good.
mailbox, the way the person did their mail. Like
Hmm.
I've been passing the street. I've been here for 7 years.
But
I've never
you've been so busy just
too
with every.
busy. You stop to admire nature, start doing
Hmm.
things that you were not doing before.
Yeah.
Don't look for a community that helps and encourages people, and then look for where you can turn that pain, what you went through, just like what I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
When I went
Who
through
can
this
you
and I came out of
encourage?
it, I said, you know
Yeah.
what,
Hmm.
I've decided in my mind that I will, as much as I can, I will make sure no woman goes through this.
That is it, man. That is exactly it. Because sometimes we think, oh, this is just for me. And that was actually what happened with me when I came through and I said, what I went through, no female leader must go through what I went through.
Mhm,
Why? Because I remember how low I felt. I remember how down I was, so down that we just say, no, 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 no. I remember sometimes people will tell me, you're being so vulnerable. I say, it's not about me.
mhm,
I'm thinking of somebody else that might just hear that story
mhm.
and might just receive strength.
Yeah, a life that you could touch. I remember one time I was
Yeah.
telling my
Mm.
story. Even yesterday when I was doing the program and I was talking to
Mm.
some of the things I mentioned, the person was like, "Oh my God, I didn't know. I thought it was that was not part of, because I didn't go through physical abuse. I went through more of the emotional abuse, and
Which is
people think
worse.
physical is worse.
Man,
Emotional abuse is
I
worse.
think it's the worst because
It's the
anything
worst.
that affects our minds affects the whole. It
Yeah,
affects your whole body. Begin to shut down.
yeah,
People shut down even internally. Everything begins to shut down. So
yeah.
that is almost like the worst.
Yeah,
Wow.
so going through what the aim is that you've gone through something and you decide that I don't want anybody else to go through this. So how can I use that and create value in the lives of people?
Mm,
Create awareness about it. Talk to somebody, even if it's one on one, either way, look for a way and say, you know what, I'll try as much as possible. Although you cannot save the whole world, but you can do your own part. And then the more I talk about it, because like I was telling somebody when I was going through that period, if I go to the store, I'm talking. I'll just be talking to everybody about what I'm going through.
mm,
I was just telling people, talk about it more. Because when you talk about it, it helps people. You sometimes I felt that I'd gone through the healing process. I'd already been healed from this
mm,
thing. But the more I talk about it, sometimes it will well up some anger and emotions. I'll start crying.
mm.
I'm like, this is
And
over
then you are
9 years.
getting healed the more.
I'm like, I thought I went over this. Why am I still getting hurt? But you know what? Recovery process takes a while. So we need to
Yeah.
get through it. Again, like I said, find the right community, look for the right tools, look at people to lives that have gone through the same thing and how they did
Mm,
it successfully.
mm, mm. Wow, 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 wow. That is so that's so powerful. Another question I wanna ask regarding even that is, how do you develop that courage? How did you develop that courage to even get into that point of arising? What gave you that courage?
Like they say, boldness is about having courage and
Hmm.
then willingness and commitment to get up when you fall. I knew that staying in that same situation that I was not going to help me. So sometimes I found that I was scared. I was scared of what does it hold for me? What does the future hold for me? How am I going to stand up? How am I going to get up? For me, let me just tell you a little bit of what happened.
Please do.
I was an immigrant, so my passport was taken from me, and I'd not yet gotten my stay yet in the country. So that was a great fear. How do I get my papers? Do I have to go back to Africa where I came from? And finances, how do I start up? When they say the carpet was literally pulled under your
Mm,
feet, that was what happened to me. So I had so many reasons to stay back down. But until when I listened to the word of God and I watched when God was telling me, I was writing down, and I watched other people's like Joyce Meyer was one of my
mm,
inspirational person I went to. I saw how she came back up, and I said, God, if you could do this for people, I looked at the women too in the Bible, how God restored their stories. I said, okay, God, I'm just gonna try it and see if it works. Let me
mm.
just give it a try
There's
and see.
no harm in
There's
trial.
no harm in trying. I just said, okay,
Yeah.
God, I'm just going to be bold. I was talking to myself. I was resisting every inch in me that was telling me it's not possible. The devil told me it's not possible. I have to take my things and go back to Nigeria. And then I'm
Wow.
like, okay, if I have to go back to Nigeria, I have a medical degree. Okay, so what? But I looked at that. I allowed that
Mm,
chat. God told me your challenges is going to be an opportunity for growth. I told
mm,
myself, you know what? I am going to make sure I succeed. I told myself I will
mm,
make sure I succeed. And that's the thing. What do you tell yourself?
mm.
Because when we're going through stuff like this, people tend to, I'm just going to be part of the statistics. I'm not going to do anything about it. What do you tell
Wow.
yourself? Because what you tell yourself is very, very important. Every day I kept on telling myself, Linda, you will bounce back. And
Wow.
my cliche then, everybody knew me when I write something, my text message. I don't know, it was in
Bounce
my old
back.
phone. In my old phone, there was something I always write, with God, all things are possible.
Mm,
Everybody knew me with that phrase. With God, all things are possible. So I started seeing myself. That's how I developed courage. Um, it's vital to know that failure it's a teaching process.
mm,
I told myself, Linda, you failed. What else? There's something behind this. So I told myself, I'm going to be intentional. I'm going to see how I can make this work. I got into a closer relationship with God. I told God, I'm going to come back to you like the prodigal son did.
mm,
Bible says you change the story of the prodigal son. So my case is not different. And like a song says, God has no he doesn't fail, he has no history of failing. He's not going to even start with me.
not
So
with
I
you.
trusted him more. And I said, God, if you can do it for these people, I'm going to step out of my comfort zone. I know what, pray more. I took time to seek God more. And that's the thing. The devil knows that there's greatness in us. The things that most of us don't know. Most of us don't know. He does. He knows. The devil knows our destiny. He knows the reason. The reason. He knows the purpose which God sent us to. He knows it. But most of us don't. So God started letting me. I started working with God step by step every day. I started growing. I started getting stronger. I started believing the word more. I started the days. Some days I fell back. I would go up 5 steps and go back 10 steps. I would say, God, you know
Mm,
what? This thing is not working. I'm not going to make it. But I kept on every day. I just kept on being consistent, and then God was helping me. I just thank God for His grace. And I
mm.
had friends too that were helping me
That
too.
were
Good
helping.
friends that were helping me too.
Wow, wow, wow. So someone listening today, there is with God, all things are possible. I love that part that you shared.
Mm.
I know you just so reminded me of Lisa Nico's story. I share her story so much. And Joyce Meyer is one of my mentors. So every time I remember, anytime I think something is not possible, I just have to look at her life.
Yeah.
That if somebody would have gone through this much abuse growing up,
Mm.
and God was able to bring her out of that situation. And today, she's now helping so many lives.
Mm-hmm.
Who said, like you said, who said he can't do it for other people?
Yeah.
And another thing that you said that I love is there is greatness on the inside of us.
True.
Ah,
True.
would you have known? Look at all the things that you're doing today. Would you have known it was there? And like I often say, the sad part is that sometimes we go through life like that, and then when we take it to the grave, and
Mm.
then you're gonna stand before your maker, and then he's gonna say, "But I called you, Linda. I called you to do this." And so when the Bible talks about gnashing of teeth, I often say it's not because of the bad things. Some things because we were what we were meant to do
Yeah.
that we did not do. Where we hear it, God forbid, imagine you get to heaven and the God says, "But you were meant to have started rise and shine. You were meant to have empowered 200,000 women. They were waiting for you to show up.
Yeah. Yeah.
What were you waiting?" And then you were like, God, God, I tried, but I didn't have the courage. Imagine. And so I want you to just talk to the more in us, talking about there's greatness on the inside of us.
You see, when I see anybody, not just women, because sometimes someone asks me, every time and it's one of my fathers in the Lord. He
Mm,
says, every time I see your program, you're only talking about women. You're not concerned about everybody. I say,
mm.
well, my message is for everybody.
Your
I
corporate.
do call for everybody, but I kind of focus it. You see,
Mm,
everybody, every time I see anybody, anyone I see a greatness in that person.
mm,
Anybody, when I come across anybody, I say there's greatness, there's potential in this person. I'm not one of those people that when I see people, I want to look at their bags or the shoes they're wearing. Or I see that there's greatness, and my own is that what is in that person, or what can I bring of value to that person, or what value can I tap into this from this person. So one of the prayers I started praying is that I started asking God, please, Lord, take away the unnecessary people in my life.
wow, that's a powerful prayer.
I did that radical prayer. I told God, I want to go. You send God is taking me somewhere. God is taking everybody somewhere. But there's some people that are there that are going to be the ones that are distractors, and you don't need them in your life. See, there's greatness in us. Every one of us, there is more in you. Even if you think you've reached, even with Joyce Meyer, with all she has done, there's still
Yes,
greatness in her. I
yes.
listened to Sarah Jakes,
Mm.
uh,
TD Jake's
Steve Jake's
daughter.
daughter. That's one person I listened to. Who would have believed that a girl that got
Oh,
pregnant at the age of 13, she's
and she
one.
went through all the limited beliefs that people put on
Yes,
how would I put it? All the tags they put on her, and the putting down and everything. And she had all of this that we see. She had it
I
in her.
see. We are all part of a puzzle. Every one of us on
Hmm,
planet Earth.
hmm.
I
Yeah,
need you. You need me. There are
yeah,
some people that God has called into your life
yeah,
to help you fulfill this purpose.
yeah.
And feel that there's somebody it's somebody that God will use to help me fulfill this purpose. And then my prayer is, God, connect me with that person and connect that person too to me, whatever the person is. Because I find out that okay, for example, TD Jake's daughter, now I've left, I don't even listen to TD Jakes anymore. I listen to his
I
daughter.
know we all listen to we listen to Sarah Jakes. We listen to
Oh my God.
the other
But
one as well, Coleman. I'm trying to remember her first name.
yeah. Oh,
Her sister as well. She
oh,
also teaches as well. It's like
oh, I
wow.
don't, because I'm so much with Sarah Jakes that I don't even listen to anybody else. But listen to her story. Listen to where she's gone through. To me now, she feels like, I feel she's the best preacher in the whole family now.
Mm.
But there are things we have not
But
yet
you
done yet.
see, but it brings us to that thing whereby we see that truly in broken, what we human beings see as broken vessels, there is beauty in it.
There is.
He sees beauty in every vessel,
Mm-hmm.
whether vessels that have been smeared or vessels that have been broken, vessels that have been discarded by others. And people say, "Oh, what am I going to do with you? You are so, you are no more useful to us."
Yeah.
That is the one that he will now pick up and say, "Oh, there is beauty in this vessel." Because that's the only thing you can really draw from her story. You look
True.
at her and look at the things that she went through and all of that, and then look at her today and you think, wow, God just drew beauty out of her life. And now she's giving that essence to the whole of not just her generation, her
Mm-hmm.
dad's generation, her children's generation, more generations to come,
Yeah.
because God saw beauty. And we must learn to see beauty in others as well.
True.
Wow,
True.
thank you for bringing up her name. We
Yeah.
must learn to see beauty in others as well.
Yes, like I said, we're all puzzles.
Mm,
We need each other to
we do, we do.
complete our assignment that God has given us. There's so many people that are visionary, and I'm looking for people that are visionary to work with them, and bring the best that God has. Because like the songwriter says, no man is an island. You
Mm-mm.
need God. You need God.
Actually, you don't want to be an island, because if you're an island, you
Yes,
won't even grow. You won't even grow as far
you
as
didn't
you're
even
meant
go
to
far.
go. You
Yes,
won't go
you
far.
can't do it
Mm-mm.
alone. With the
You
Holy
can't.
Spirit, you still need
Yeah,
people around you, the right people,
yeah,
visionary people,
yeah,
kingdom-minded people that will help
yeah,
you run this journey.
yeah.
I've come to realize, and I've come to know that there's more in me. There's more to what
Mm-hmm.
I've not
Mm-hmm.
even scratched the surface. And everybody, every woman, every man, every boy, every
Mm-hmm.
girl carries a fragrance of influence.
Yeah.
The
Yes.
purpose midwife's fragrance is not the same fragrance I carry. But you
Yes.
know what? Each and every one of us, we can complement each other for the kingdom of God.
Yes.
I need, in this time and age, we know that we need a radical manifestation of the power
Mm.
of God.
Mm.
I cannot be Itofa. Itofa cannot be me. The
Mm-mm.
grace that he has invested in a purpose midwife is not the same grace he has invested in me.
But he
So
needs
all
each one of
we need
us.
each and every one of us
Mm.
is a puzzle
Yeah.
that fits into. And God, we need
Mm.
God to connect us to the right people at the right time to
Wow.
help us be those people. You know what? The sad thing, Pastor Olu,
Mm.
the children of the world, they know this.
They know this, and the network,
The networking,
the networking is
the
powerful. I
networking
remember
is
when you and I connected, we're like, oh, we called and we're talking. And I often tell people, I say, in the kingdom, there is no competition. There
true.
is only collaboration.
True.
You don't need to compete with anybody. You are
Mhm.
enough as you are.
Yes.
You are enough as you are.
True.
As in,
True.
just collaborate with somebody. Imagine this podcast that is sweeter because I'm doing it with you.
Hmm.
Well, it's good for me to do it by myself, but I find that the episodes I do with people, because we're both now bringing our flavor to the table,
Yeah,
it is so much more powerful.
it is. It is.
So everybody
And
must find their piece,
yeah,
find their
everybody must find
place
their
in
peace.
in
Yes.
the puzzle. Mm,
Yeah. And
and
once we realize that God's agenda for us is nothing less than transformational, you know what? Like, is it Romans 8:29 says it, for us to be like Jesus
yeah.
in everything we do, in everywhere we go.
Mm,
Once we get that fact and then we know that, and we are passionate about it wholeheartedly, we'll now see that the more in us will begin, because the more in you, it's waiting. It's like a
yeah,
testing land. It
yeah.
will see that you want to be like Jesus in every ramification,
Hmm.
and the more in you will come up, and you will start exuding more.
Yeah.
I remember when we first met, I was like, I want to get in touch with this Pastor Olu. I want to reach her. I don't know how to reach her. And then boom, we connected.
We connected.
And it's been a
And
beautiful,
we're on a call, and we're just talking and we're just comparing us, we're just talking and talking like that. We had known ourselves for like the longest time.
yeah.
That's how it's meant to be.
That's
But we need
beautiful.
each other. That's
We
like you said,
do.
that's just the truth. We need
We
each
do.
other.
We
We
do.
do.
You do need, and you see how you've connected me to a couple of people,
Yeah.
2 or 3 people you've connected me with, and
Mm.
that is that's the beauty. We all have our own fragrance. We all have our lane. We just stay in
Yeah.
our lane and use those right tools and the right people, to fulfill kingdom's mandate.
Wow. 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 Thank you so much for that awesome, 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 awesome insight into Arise and Shine. What are your last words to somebody listening, somebody watching? What would your last words be?
In conclusion, I want to say that by seeking the kingdom and responding obediently, we can bring out all the more that is in us.
Mm,
Seeking the kingdom first. And for example, what is the main reason behind this podcast? It's all about the kingdom. We want to impact lives, right?
yeah.
What's the reason why I joined you is to do the kingdom, the work, because now is the enter. I believe this is the last. I personally, that's me and my own thing.
Mm-hmm.
We are the last generation that I feel we are the last generation that will usher in the
Mm-hmm.
return of the Lord.
Good.
I feel this
Good.
way in the last
Mm.
generation. What are all the signs that the Bible says? I'm seeing all the signs apart
All the
from,
signs,
yeah,
yeah.
all the signs are
Mm.
showing. So, as an individual and as a woman, we must arise. That in symbolically as is referred to in the Bible and take our place.
Yeah.
We must arise and take our place and know that we are filled with more. We are blessed. We are brilliantly filled with more. We can do more and we have much more to do. The path ahead may not be certain. It's not going to be without trials. I used to wonder, why did God not say you will not have trials and temptation? Why did he not say that? It would have been so
Mm.
easy. But what his Bible says that in whatever your situation you go through, I will be there with you.
With
So
you.
it's just to let you know that, you know what, there's going to be something. There's going to be trials on the way.
Yeah.
But God continues promises that His light will go with us. So the first thing we have to do is for us to arise. Once we arise, the more and everything in us will arise. And
Mm.
then there's no competition. The light begins to shine through the Holy Spirit. You have been called, you have been chosen, and you are to bear His image. Now is the time to arise.
Whew. Somebody listening, now is the time to arise. Thank you so much, Dr. Linda Agu. Thank you for being our guest today. Thank you for shedding light into that. And I believe that no, as we listen, as people watch, they won't remain the same because now it's like a call to
Amen.
more. Thank you so much. God bless you so
Pastor
much.
Olu, I have one thing to say. Can I pray for you?
Yes, please.
Because
Yes,
I
please.
know that you're a visionary person. You have been called into this ministry,
Mm.
and I know that people have been called into this ministry. The devil knows it, and the devil wants to attack them. And so I just want to pray for you that the Lord will open more doors for you. You just not just make influence in Canada, it's going to be global influence. The purpose midwife that God has called you for is not just for Canada, it's going to be to the entire nation. The
Amen.
work that you have started, there
Mm.
is more to it. There is more in you. And I pray
Amen.
that as you go around doing this work, the Lord will give you strength.
Mm.
It will bring the right people to you. You'll be a blessing. Your family,
Mm.
you and your family, you're covered in the blood of Jesus. The
Amen.
Lord will continue to strengthen you. You will act, wax more. In when they are calling
Mm.
women, visionary women in this country, in this
Mm.
world, your name will be mentioned. I
Amen.
bless you with the blessings of God. The
Amen.
Lord be gracious to you and for this work. For in Jesus' name I pray.
Amen. Amen. Amen.